Are you wanting to get the most out of your posture while you're going through your yoga practice? Then this optimal posture yoga video is for you. In today's video, I'm going to take a more talky approach through a flow, going through some basic yoga postures, explaining how we can use our breath and our knowledge of what the body is supposed to be and what optimal posture is to be able to leave your yoga class feeling long and lean, even more than what a normal practice would do. So let's get started. We'll start in a comfortable seated position, just like we would do in a normal beginning practice. Finding each of our sit bones, stacking our shoulders over our ears, ears over our shoulders. So let's talk about some of the basic movements of the spine that we do in a yoga class, like breathing in overhead and then coming into that seated side bend. So if you want to get the most out of your posture in a seated side bend, you really want to think about anchoring the opposite hip down. So both hips are down, other hip is anchored. And then you want to think about using your inhale to move your rib cage away from your belt line before and then tipping over. And then you can look in either direction of your neck. Should be independent where your body doesn't move with that side bend. And then each inhale, you're sending that hip, opposite hip, more down as you're lifting that rib cage away. And then on your exhale, you can think about bringing that side rib cage down. Let's do the other side. Anchoring down, inhaling, lifting, up. Inhale. So you really want those cues when you have those side bends. And you can do this seated, you can do it standing using your heel rather than your hip. But that's what's really going to get you that expansion in the side of your rib cage that we need to be able to get that good neutral posture. And then coming up, let's go into a seated twist. We'll bring that left hand to right knee, right hand coming behind. So in a seated twist, again, opposite hip anchoring. You're thinking about lifting your rib cage away from the body first and then twisting. Now the hand that's back, that front corner of the chest is what's expanding. And then so is the hand that's on knee, that back side of your rib cage is expanding. And this is true for all twists. So whatever you're twisting away, the direction you're twisting away from, you're getting the back of the rib cage. The side that you're twisting towards, you're getting the front of the rib cage. And then we'll come up, do the other side, rooting that hip down. Feel how it feels to come in and focus on there. That front side expanding, back of that rib cage. Releasing anterior and posterior compression in the rib cage there. We'll bring our hands up, bringing our hands forward, coming into that easy forward pose. Now, of course, another really common beginning pose is cat-cow. So this counts for cat-cow too. So when we're coming into that forward fold, that gives us an opportunity to release our shoulder blades, bringing them away from each other. So you really want to focus on your inhale, expanding that back of that rib cage, which is opposite from traditional cat-cow cueing. Usually when you're rounding out, you're exhaling, bringing your rib cage down, which is really good for bracing the core. So you have that option here. So here you can think about, you can focus on your exhales, bringing your rib cage down. Inhale, spreading the rib cage, spreading the shoulder blades. And that releases that posterior compression. Rounding up. So let's go to our feet. We'll do lunge for the sake of this video. The feet also goes for warrior 1 and warrior 2 for the front foot. But coming back, we'll just come up into that high lunge, going through our pose here. So as you come forward, you can think about going third to fourth toe, first to second, third to fourth toe to get that maximum rotation going in your leg to get your pelvis to stay neutral and not go into that anterior pelvic tilt. So this is true, like I said, for warrior 1 and warrior 2. I'll cue it differently. You can lift your arch, flatten your arch, lift your arch again. And then you'd be using your femur, like I said, to get that maximum good posture. And then from here, we'll turn that toes into that warrior 2, spreading it, just so we can bring our arm down to our thigh to come into that good old side angle. So just like we were doing for our side bends, rib cage away from belt line, breathing up here, pressing firmly into your feet. And then see what happens when we come into that reverse. Exhale. Coming here, flipping the palm, coming forward and tipping. Now we're going the other way. This rib cage, lifting up. And that's the part to focus mostly on, is that lift of that front side rib cage. Exhaling down. Cartwheeling the hands down. Let's do the other side. Bringing that other leg forward, tucking the toes, lifting up into that high lunge. So we got the foot cues on that first round. Now we're going to think upper body on this round. So we like, in lunge, high lunge, there is that back bend. And so people often think about that they need to flare their rib cage up to get that. That is not where the back bend comes from. You need to be able to bring your rib cage down to your belt line to keep that neutral pelvis. And then that back bend comes from the upper part of your back, shoulders. And then if you want to go further, then you can lift and go further back. But that bend needs to come from the upper part of your back first. So that would be our hack. Exhaling, rib cage down. And then trying to rotate your collarbones up towards that ceiling to get that beginning of the back bend. And then turning out into our warrior 2. Again, thinking about our upper body. Again, rib cage down, tailbone going down towards that mat, collarbone separating, then coming into that side bend, elbow here, lifting up tall, lifting that rib cage, sending that knee out to that third and fourth toe. Another cue that you can do here to get your shoulders more stacked is inhale, pull that shoulder blade back, stacking a little bit more. Every time you inhale, you can think about pulling your shoulder blade back, getting that slight twist in your torso. Exhale, just letting it go where it naturally wants to go. And then that can help getting that nice long line like you're pressed between two planes of glass. Coming up through that warrior 2. Tipping back for that reverse warrior. Here, let's think about our head. It's easy to kind of want to crane your neck back. You can think about tucking your chin, lifting up from the back of your head, trying to keep that like a nice crescent almost feel in your spine as it comes down, as it bending to the side. And again, you can still stack a little bit more by pulling that shoulder blade back with your breath. And we'll exhale, framing our foot, stepping back. We're going to come onto our backs for a bridge, because bridge is amazing for getting the most reset out of your posture. Bridge and pigeon on the back. So coming down onto your backs, If you think about relaxing your spine down, you're going to use your feet, knees tracking with your toes. You're going to think about collapsing your arches in, sending those knees out to your third and fourth toe first. And you might notice as you do that, you get that little bit more of a good neutral tuck in your pelvis. And then going from there, you're going to think about pressing into the ball of your big toe, outside edge of your heel, as you roll up into that bridge. And as you're coming up, what you're looking for is that nice, good hip extension. So you're making that nice flat line because you have that neutral pelvis. And then releasing down, pushing your arch, releasing down. And here. So you don't want to make sure you're not clenching like the lower part of your glutes where they touch. You're activating the outside here. So starting again, heels collapse down, toes to the third and fourth toe, pressing down, getting that engagement, rolling up, coming here. Now let's talk about upper body. So neck is nice and loose. It helps stabilize, and this will mess up your posture if you are tensing your neck to help you stabilize in your bridge. So you want to relax, maybe send more weight into your shoulder blades. And then one good hack here is to actually take your elbows here and kind of try to separate your shoulder blades. Inhaling and exhaling to kind of keep that separation while you're in your bridge and you're getting that really good yummy stuff happening down there. And rolling back down. So our last move that we'll go through for our for our videos today, for our optimal posture videos today, is we'll come into that figure 4 pigeon pose on the mat. So if you want the most optimal posture, it's actually better to start this pose with your left leg first, because your left leg has more external rotation. So if you open that knee out, pressing it, press your heel down into the floor, opening your knee to have that kind of counter pressure, and then lifting up, that'll kind of naturally take your pelvis where we're wanting to go. And then you want to open your knee up. You can bring your hands through here. Again, watch the neck, nice and loose neck, dropping that tailbone down. And it can be really helpful just to kind of rock side to side to kind of release things that we want released in our posture. So I find that to be a pretty good variation to kind of like wiggle this leg a little bit out of the hip socket. And then bringing it down. Then we'll go to our right side, bring that leg up, flexing the foot, crossing it over. That needs the more internal rotation. It's always good to end a yoga pose on the side that needs it more, and the right side usually does. So taking that time to really drive into that heel, opening up your knee first and like activate the muscles before you go into the stretch. We'll activate the stretch a bit more. Then lifting your knees up, got that nice good alignment, maybe grabbing. And then you might feel the wiggle back and forwards of kind of loosening the femur out of your pelvis. Relax that neck. You're just going side to side a few times and then lowering down and releasing. A couple more tricks to get the most out of your yoga pose. Whenever you're hugging one knee up to your chest, if you think about leaving your shoulder blades down, slightly turning your collarbone towards your knees, that'll put your spine in a little bit more of a reset pose, kind of mimicking our gait cycle. So that can kind of help it increase what you're trying to do here. And then going to the other side, nice relaxed shoulder blades, just turning the collarbone slightly towards that knee. And this is true, the slight turn works for any extended hamstring work, happy baby, like when you're walking, if you're turning your collarbone towards the leg that's coming up, that can make that pose feel even better and get more out of it. And releasing down. And then of course, you might go into a shavasana in a normal yoga pose, in a normal yoga class. And then after your shavasana, you come into fetal pose. And I know it's very tempting to skip fetal pose, but it is very good for resetting your posture, especially if you choose to roll onto your left side. Now, while you're here, if you think about driving the hip, the bony part of the top part of your hip down into the mat, then as you're laying here, you're getting that internal rotation reset on that side. You can also think about maybe reaching your hand forward a little bit, dropping it down. You can make a fist and kind of push into the ground here. So you're driving that hip down, pressing into the arm. That kind of gives a little counter force. That's also really good. You can also drive the other arm down. And then you're getting all the benefits of fetal pose and the blood flow while actually resetting your skeleton. And then, of course, at the end of practice, whenever you come up, restacking to see where you're at. And you have that last chance for that breath. Coming into that final closing. So I thank you for going through this little instructional flow with me. I hope your posture feels better. Let me know what you thought of doing the moves. And please check out the rest of our optimal posture playlist. I also have a yoga hack playlist and some regular yoga flows that kind of use these principles. So please check out another video, and I hope to see you in another video.